Hello, everyone. How are you? I just want to share with you about the the book I just bought last year when I went to Rome, and in that book it has Colosseum, Roman Forum, Palatine, Imperial Fora. So I'm going to read some of the history that I bought in the book. But of course that I try to go session and show you picture too, and I read it because to me it's very interesting, and I like to share that to all of you so you get to know a little bit more about Rome, and which is for me, I am very blessed that I got a chance to go there for my my oldest daughter's wedding. So it's the place that I dreamed to come, and I get a chance to come. So even though I bought the book, but I haven't got a chance to read. So I like to kind of show that to you all too. I mean, go by some session, and I know it will take time, but I'm going to make it for a little bit, and then I will continue, for different clips too, because I'm sure it's kind of long too. The book is like this. Show picture. And this one is yeah. I will read it clearly so you can see, but I will show picture first, okay? For me, this is my first time, even though I bought a few books, but I like to share because I'm sure this is history, so kind of interesting, okay? I will slowly read for you too. So I will move from page to page, okay? From the village of Hut on the Palatine, the floors of the 2 or 3 huts cut out of the rock of the Palatine, and the simple earth graves of a burial ground. The sepulchrum on the edge of the forum are the earliest trace that we can find today of what was later to become Rome. Her most ancient monument at its word, one of the several small villages which have sprang up on these hills, separated by broad mesh. The one on the Palatine controlled the Tipper crossing and the market, which had long existed on the left bank of the river. This constitutes the nucleus around which the other inhabited areas began to concentrate between the 8th and the 7th centuries BC, giving rise over time to the actual city. By the 6th century, it was already encircled by walls to protect it by a fortified strong point on the Capitoline. It boasted a landing stage on the Tiber and a commercial and political center in the Forum. It and it was enriched by public buildings and sanctuary, most notably to temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximum Capitolinus. I'll show you the picture, okay? When I read, I'll show you so you get to see. I'm sure that a lot of people dream to go there, but you can't. So at least you get a little view. It's still something better than nothing, right? I just finished the first page, so I'm going on the second page, okay? Okay, so now I go on the second page. Over the course of next century, the city grew to include the Aventine, and in the first half of the 4th century, following recovery from the invasion of the Gauls and the ruin it had left in its wake, a new circle of walls was erected to protect an, an extensive urban area which now cover over 400 hectares. After the conquest of the Greek East, 2nd to 1st century BC, entire districts were built or redesigned along the lines of eastern cities. Greek erect ever larger and more functional buildings, such as the commercial portico of the vast district known as the Emporium, south of the Aventine between 179 and 142 BC. The first stone bridge was built over the Tiber Pond Aemilius. The second century also saw a star being made with the building of the campus. Martius, when the first porticos and temple were erected. Pompeii project in the next century. Portugal and theater make it the city's natural and most important area of expansions. Fragment of the Forma Pubis, a map of Rome carved on marble slab under the rim of Septimus Severus. Details show the theater of Pompeius. I'll show the map for you later, okay? I'll move on and I'll show you the map, how big it is. It's amazing. You gotta have time to go and see how big it is, how the structure of, the way if history is built. If anyone dreamed to go to Rome, you should, because it's just like one of the places that I dreamed to come with my friend. But then my friend, she promised with me that she traveled to Italy, and then she got sick, so she never got a chance to come. And then I think God knows what your wishes. So I never could imagine that my daughter and I got married there, which is her husband's family. Her father-in-law is Italian. So actually, it meant to be. I felt very blessed that I got to know the history of the country and the people and the buildings. I'd like to share this to all of us, to get to know about history, because history is one of my favorite courses when I'm in school, because it helps you a lot with just like about you get to know about the history and appreciate it, how God created about this earth. Anyhow, I'll show you, okay, the map. Let me read the section, because in the map we have total is 39 places of the name they call. So number 1, Colosseum. Number 2, Arch of Constantine. Number 3, Temple of Venus and Rome. Number 4, Arch of Titus. Number 5, Basilica of Maxentius. Number 6, Temple of Dives Romulus. Number 7, Temple of Antonius and Faustina. Number 8, House of the Vestal Virgins. Number 9, Temple of Vesta. Number 10, Basilica Emilia. Number 11, Temple of Caesar. Number 12, Curia. Number 13, Arch of Septimius. Severus. It's hard to spell because these words are Italian words. That's why it's hard. Temple of Vespasian and Titus. Number 15. Porticus Diorum Constantium. Number 16. Temple of Saturn. Number 17. Basilica Julia. Number 18. Temple of Castor and Polis. Number 19, Santa Maria Antigua. And that is about Colosseum and Roman Forum, which is the first section from 1 to 19. The second section from 20 to 39 is the Palatine. Farnes Gardens. Number 20, number 21, House of Livia. Number 22, Temples of Magna Matters and of Victory. Number 23, Romulan Huts. Number 24, House of Augustus. Number 25, Temple of Apollo. Number 26, Domus Flavia. Number 27, Antiquarian of the Palatine. Number 28, Domus Augustana Stadium. Number 28, Domus Augustana. Number 29, Stadium of the Palatine. Number 30, Bath of Maxentius. Number 31, Slopes of the Palatine Hill. Number 32, Horia Agrippina. Number 33, which is Imperial Fora. Forum of Caesar. Number 34, Forum of Trajan. Number 35, Trajan's Market. Number 36, Trajan's Columns. Number 37, Forum of Augustus. Number 38, Forum of Nerva. Number 39, Temple of Peace. Anyway, this is a very big place. Well, if you have a whole day, you can just travel. And God, it's amazing. When I got there, I got lost too because of thousands of people visiting. So it's just like place. It opened your eyes when you got a chance to go to the different place of the world. See how amazing the structure, the way it built, the way, how in the old time, a lot of churches, amazing. I got to go to a lot of churches. It's opened my eyes. I can't imagine. I feel how blessed I am. I have to say thank you to God. Just oh my God, it's just so amazing. Anyway, I would love to share because even though I bought a few books, but I haven't got a chance to read because I'm busy. But now since I read it and I also share with all of you too, so kind of good, for us to know about the history, and maybe that is on your list of your vacation that you want to go and visit. Why not, right? All of us we have to have dreams. And you never know when you're very sincere and you have faith in God, especially when you do good thing, I'm sure that God will make it happen. Just like me, I could not even imagine that I could go, but I could go. So I feel very blessed. I have to say thank you, God, for allowing me to be there and witness my daughter got married with her husband and the family and everybody with so much love. And everyone is so nice. So I have to say thank you to God. That's what I mentioned yesterday. It's very powerful. Anyway, so let me go ahead and read for the third page, okay, honey? Wow, that is so amazing. Okay, then why don't I read in the map that said each section and they tell you, so that kind of cool too. Okay, Colosseum and the Fora are archaeological area. The archaeology is very hard to pronounce these because it's long words. Archaeological park includes the Colosseum and Domus, Oria, the Arch of Constantine, of the Roman Forum, and Palatine Hill, the Imperial Fora, and Circus Maxim. The valley of the Colosseum, the very word Colosseum evokes the indelible image of the world's most famous monuments. The Colosseum was begun just 11 years after the death of the emperor, who had built an artificial lake and a small dock on the side. Surrounding it were buildings of rather fanciful design, which completed the spectacular park of the Domus, Oria, Nero's Golden House. From the circus instead of a vertical spurt which would have been drawn by the greatness of the Colosseum nearby. A veil of water sweated from the fountain. The 35-meter high Colosseum of Nero first stood in the atrium of the Domus Aurea Golden House and was later moved near the Colosseum. Today, there are only the remains of the square perimeter of the base of the enormous status from which the Flavian of the base of the enormous statue from which the Flavians amphitheater took the name Colosseum. The Arch of Constantine. The area of the excavations reaches the shelter of the Arch of Constantine, the most grandiose of the three surviving triumphal acres. It was built in 315 AD in honor of the victory of Constantine over his rival Maxentius 312 AD. Also the incipient triumph of Christianity by way of an illusion to an abstract divinity in place of the usual gods from pagan Olympus. The fourth quarter that make up the structural material include brick, soft, volcano rock, 100,000 cubic meter of travertine, the transportation of which was made possible by a special road built between the site and the mines in Tivoli, and 300 tons of iron for the brace, many of which were taken in the centuries of decades, leaving the holes that are evident today. Colosseum, the historian Suetonius, in his life of Titus, tells of the 100 days of sumptuous celebrations that inaugurate the Colosseum in 80 AD, which were attended by all the important men of the Roman world from every province of the empire. The inauguration was also let me read it closely. Commemorated by a new bronze cestius horn, which the Senate stand in honor of the Emperor Titus. On the other side of the horn was the amphitheater packed with crowns. The preferred games were the Venetian and Huns, or gladiator duels and small naval battles. At the intermission, there were various performers, singers, dancers, and their exposition of rare animals. No historian recorded the killing of Christians through undoubtedly between the cruel games that took place and frequent public execution of those. Hang on for me. Let me hold the paper. What? It's a lot to read, my dear. It's history. Well, let's say between the cruel games that took place, frequent public execution of those condemned to death, there were many Christians killed here. Yet these cruel shows continue for more than a century. The last on record dates to 523 AD, when the barbarian king Theodoric agreed with the Dixonate consult to permit a hunt for animals. In the Middle Age, Rome's population fell to a few tens of thousands, and several earthquakes and fire considerably to the deterioration of the monument, which in the 6th century was even used as a cemetery. In the following century, when the most powerful Roman families fought one another for control of the city and papacy, the Colosseum was transformed into a fortress by the powerful Palatine and civilian families, and in this way protected from further damage. Ironically, it was in the Renaissance, the period of the greatest passion for antiquity, that the destruction of the Colosseum and the Roman Forum really began. It renewed building activity, led the builders of some of Rome's most important buildings, such as Palazzo Venezia and St. Peter, to use this unique monument as a mine for marble and construction materials, many of which sat abandoned on the ground after collapse, caused by periodic earthquakes. The exterior of the Colosseum, even stripped, mutilated, only half of the structure remained intact and supported by two buttresses still preserved all of the district building of the original design. The Colosseum is a masterpiece of engineering, not only for its solidity and functionally, but also it is resistant to the ravage of time. The dimensions of the monument are eloquent. The elliptical plan measures 188 meters and its greatest axis 156 and its shorter axis and bridge a height of about 50 meters. According to documentary evidence and complex calculations, is accommodated between 70 and 80,000 spectators. A series of couples in the attic of couple with holes into which inserted the ingenious system of intersecting holes, which suppose the enormous Valerian awning, which protects the interior of the Colosseum from the elements. It had a surface area of 22,000 square meters and was made of steel and linen. The complex manifold to control the awning were performed by a squad of sailors from the military port of Cabo Messino. They lived in one of the numerous barracks nearby, closely connected to the activities of the amphitheater. Construction of the square of the Colosseum. The system of public access was extremely efficient to 80 external acres were numbers. Some of the numbers are still visible today. And spectators had passes which corresponded to a particular number entrance. Wow, it's amazing what these, history that I got to read for you and I got to read for myself too, in order to understand much more. The a number acres which correspond to 4 principal axes of the ellipse was reserved for the emperor, dignitaries, and the vassal. The entrance of honor on the north side was protected by a portico decorated with stems and frescoes and led directly to the imperial tribune, though much different than it was original. The interior is still striking, nonetheless, and the beauty of this majestic structure cannot easily be disassociated from the honor of blood spilled here to furnish the Romans with the spectacle which they enjoy most. The area was made of movable wooden floor covered in sand, which was cleaned and raked after every event. The surrounding seating area was separated from arena by a retaining wall and a strong protective net top with several elephant tucks to provide extra protection. The area underneath was divided into galleries, which were used passageways to storage space for material necessary for the events in the arena above, include weapons, wild beasts, and scenery such as temples, hills, and forests. It had the inside interior of the Colosseum, a system that lifts and counterweights served to raise scenery, animals, and participants on the arena level. The dramatic appearance of the competence would arouse an enthusiastic welcome from spectators in the stands. Very little remains of the seating area, which were divided into 5 sections. The first was reserved for the Senate and had marble stands. The successive sections were finished in brick, while the last section, reserved for common women, was finished in wood. The public was rigorously divided according to social class, as demonstrated by the remains of several inscriptions in the few remaining rows. At the extreme of the major axis were 2 stands, one for emperor, the other for magistrate, vestal, and others, and highly organized positionings of passageways and stairways in the 4 sections of stand, which were accesses from corresponding entrance, allowed the 10,000 of spectators to fill and empty the Colosseum very quickly. The domus arena, close by the Colosseum in the Colosseum, is the access to the celebrated domus area of Nero, an imposing, fantastic group of buildings that extended from the Palatine to the Esquiline, submerged in the greenery of a countryside, recreated within the city, occupying an extensive area, however, of so many marvels. Almost everything disappeared instantly after the death of Nero. His successors wanted to irradiate the slightest memory of these achievements, whose luxury had aroused passionate hatred Roman hearts. This was the site of the central pavilion. Ruined in 104 by a terrible fire. Over is were built for foundations for the construction of the bath of Triton, of which only a few ruins remain. Domus Aurea reconstruction of the Sala Octagona. The rotois underneath, once believed to belong to the bath of Titus, were explored by artists of the Renaissance who learned here a special decorative style publicly called Grotius Quick. Here, the famous Laocoon was found, and also the enormous porphyry vase. See Vatican Museum, in which Poppaea supposed to have bathed in milk of 100 she accepted. The Imperial Forum of Triton, Imperial Triton was born in Italica, Spain in 53 AD. The formidable task of his reign was the expansion of the empire toward the east. Beyond Dacia, Trajan decided to commemorate his victory by building a forum that would surpass all other forums in splendor and skill. Wow, it's a lot to read. He instructed to protect to the great architect Apollodorus of Demarchus by cutting away a good portion of the base of the Quirino Hill, an area twice the size of the existing Fora was created. 63 million cubic meters of earth and rock was moved to make way for the Trajan Forum, which became the most admired place in the city. But the great monument, the victory over the Dacian, is the noble Trajan columns, which after 19th century was returned to its original majestic and antique splendor by careful restoration. The ashes of the emperor were once set into the base of the column, and his statue once stood on top. The column consists of the 19 blocks of marble and a spiral staircase which leads to the top. The most important part of this historic monument is the helicoidal band of figure that spiral, no spiral right around it, which document the arms and no the arms art and costume of the Roman and Dacian. Include is the bridge that Trajan constructed, the fortress he attacked, the camp he destroyed, and the enemy he put to flight. Previous interpretation of the inscription now confirmed suggests that the top of the column marked the height of ground level when construction began on Trajan's Forum. Very little remained of the great buildings which surround the column. The Basilica Upia used as a half of justice. The Greek and Latin libraries and the temple dedicated to Trajan himself, set into the Renal Hill, is the complex known as Trajan's Market, which consists of a well-preserved semi-circular three-story structure and above and large vaulted hall, which resemble a basilica. The entrance of the complex is in Via Novembra. Trajan's foreign either side of Via del Dore Imperiale. The Forum of Caesar 33, consecrated in 46 BC and later finished by Augustus, was the first of the so-called Imperial Fora, built in with the spoil of victory from the Gallic Wars, formed by a rectangular piazza surrounded on a side by portico. It had at its center the temple of Venus Gentris. The Julian family to which Julius belonged claimed the originate from Julo or Ascanius, son of the Trojan hero Arenas, who according to Homeric mythology was the son of the mortal Anchises and the goddess Venus. In its simplicity, the Forum of Julius Caesar surpasses the narrow dimensions of the Republican age and from an historical point of view underlies the passage to the Imperial age by anticipating the monumental complexes built by Caesar's successor. From Forum was expelled Trajan, who at the Basilica Argentaria. The Forum of Augustus after assassination of Caesar, the conspirators Brutus and Cassius went to take possession of the province of Syria and Macedonia in 42 BC. They led their armies at Philippi against the heir of Caesar, Octavian, and Mark Antony. Just as Julius Caesar took a vow at Pharsalo, so Augustus took one at Philippi in the event of victory. He was to build a temple to New Forum and dedicate it to Mars, father of the Rome people and god of war. After the victory and the death of the two conspirators, Augustus maintained his vow and built the temple of Mars, Utor. The avant-garde in the center of the new forum and inaugurated on the 1st of August in the year 2 BC. Excavation have brought two high magnificent remains of this forum and the gigantic temple among the Corinthian columns that once took 15 meters in height. Augustus was the first emperor, 27 BC to 14 AD. The Forum of Nova 38, 38 begun under the Emperor Domitian. This forum was inaugurated in 97 AD by his Augustus. It was necessary to make the best of rather limited space, and so extended in length rather than width. Wow. Okay, go on. This was the site of temple of Minerva, which was still standing in 1606 when Pope Paul V had demolished in order to use its marble to build the Palatine fountain on the Januculum Hill, the Temple of Peace, the complex of Imperial Fora ended on the side nearest to the Colosseum in this temple of enormous proportions. The Roman Forum, the center of the civic of economic life in Republican times. The Forum maintained an important role also in the imperial period. With the fall of the Roman Empire in the West, however, it went into decline. An earthquake in 851 during the papacy of Leo IV caused extensive damage, but the decisive blow was devastating fury of the Normans, who, although they came to Rome 1084 ostensibly to help Pope Gregory sack and set fire to the city. The Forum was crossed by the Via Sacra, which led to the Capitol Hill and also served as the route of the triumphal processions of victorious generals laden with booty and followed by ranks of prisoners. While the oldest section of the Forum, built in the Republican era, stretched from the opposite side of the valley of the edge of the Capitol Hill. The entrance of the square of the Colosseum leads to the most recently built section, which dates from the Imperial Age, on the Via Sacra at the top of the Via, as the Arch of Titus, which the Senate built after the imperial death, memory of his conquest of Jerusalem, 70 AD. On the inside of the arch are two fine bas reliefs. The emperor on his triumphal chariot and the procession of the Jewish prisoner carrying in 7 branches candelabrum. The immense basilica of Maxentius, also called the Basilica of Constantine, was the last edifice built in the city, which conveys the magnificence of ancient Rome. It was begun by Maxentius and completed by his successor Constantine. The temple of Antonius and Faustina is the best preserved building in the Forum. The loss of Faustina embedded her husband, the Emperor Antonius Pius. After her death, the emperor wanted to defy her and build a magnificent temple in her honor 141 AD. This temple was transformed in the Middle East into the Church of San Lorenzo Miranda. Many pagan temples were converted into Christian churches, include the ancient church of Saint Cosmos and Damian, built in 572 by Felix Vespasian, is constructed in the adjacent Forum of Peace or Pasparian Forum. The vestibule stand on the round temple of Dives Romulus, son of Maxentius, and features its original bronze door and lock. The round temple of Vesta dates from the time of King Numa Popilius, 8th century BC. When it was built to guard the Palladium, the image of Minerva and other sacred objects brought to Italy by Aeneas, and upon which it was believed insecurity of the city depended. The 6 vestals were chosen to patrician maidens, the daughters of free men, and had to keep the fire burning. They enjoying special privilege. But if one broke her vow of chastity, she was buried alive in the Campo Silirato field of villains. They lived nearby the house of the Vestal Virgins, which was also totally reconstructed along with the fire in 191 AD. Many statues and interesting inscriptions remain. The house, comparable to a modern convert, was large central atrium. Both the temple and the house of Vestal. Wow, it's a lot to read. Well, let's say, what was that? Let's say, the how. Where do I miss it? The temple. Let's say, I just read and then I move the paper. Then now it's like, what, why don't I read it again? Brow Temple of Divus, Romulus, son Maxentius, and feature its original bronze door and lock. The round temple Vesta date from the time King Nuba Poplitus, 8th century BC, when it was built to guard the Palladium, the image of Minerval and other sacred objects brought yearly by Aeneas, and upon which it was believed the security of the city depended. The 6 Vestals were chosen from patrician maidens, the daughter of free men, and had to keep the fire burning. The enjoying special privilege, but if one broke her vow of chastity, she was buried alive in the temple. Silarato, few of Valen. They lived nearby the house of the Vestal Virgin, which was almost totally reconstructed along with the temple of Vesta by the Emperor Septimius Severus after remain the house compatible to a modern convent was divided into different chambers which opened onto the large central atrium. Both the temple and the house of the Vestal once belonged to the first Regia of Rome. The temple of Caesar, which Octavian built in memory of his uncle, was begun 42 BC on the spot where the dictator's body was burned, and consecrated in 2980 together with the nearby arch Antioch, of which only the foundation remained. The temple of Castor and Bolo 18, also called the temple of the Dioscuri, was built in 484 BC to commemorate the victory of Aulus Postumius over the Latin in the battle of Lake Regillus. The 3 Corinthian columns and part of the cornice date of the era of Tiberius of Hadrian, 1st and 2nd century AC. The Basilica Julia 17, built by Julius Caesar in the middle of the 1st century BC, was an enormous structure with 5 naves, divided in sections with movable partitions which allow more than one audience to take place at the same time. Chess, swear, and other games trace into the marble of the step of the building offer an interesting look at life in the form of the way in which Romans passed the time. After all, this is still of the Forum. The vast basilica underwent a final restoration in 277 AD. The temple of Saturn 16 was erected by the consul Titus Lacius on the 17th of December 498 BC. It was always used as public treasury and as a repository for the standards of the legions and the decrees of the Senate. Sacred treasure were held in an underground chamber. The temple was enlarged in 42 BC and rebuilt after a fire in the 4th century AD. The Temple of Saturn. 3 columns remain of the Temple of Vespasian. 14, which was built by the son of Domitian in 94 AD and later restored by Septimius Severus. The Temple of Conqueror was built by Furiel Camillio, the conqueror of the Gauls, in 367 BC in memory of the agreed conduct at Monte Sacro between the plebeians and patricians. It was in this temple that the Senate gathered to hear the last Catilia Cicero 63 BC. The complex overdone arch of Septimius Severus 13 points to the common decline of Roman art. It was being erected in honor of Septimius and his sons, Caracalla and Geta. In the inscription recalls an imperial tragedy, the murder of Geta by Caracalla, who later has his brother's name removed from the monument. Septimius Severus reigned for 18 years, 193 to 211, and quite unusual for the 3rd century, died of natural cause. The Comitium were where the representatives of the people gather for public discussion has previously been the Tribuna. The comitium consisted of the square for his death. From this platform, the operas, the the orators of no the orators and political leaders addressed the people. In Republican time, the tribute, which had been originally built of wood, was situated near the Comitium in 338 BC. It was decorated with the prose of the ship's capture in the Battle of Anzio. From then on, at Restore, Rostra became the cry of the Roman people to call a meeting. The Curia 12 was the forum's first civic center and consisted of the Curia Comitium complex located between the Basilica Aemilia and the Arch of Septimius Severinus, which served as meeting place for the Senate and later as setting for sacred ceremony. An early gladiators shows. It was found by King Tullius Hostilius and underwent several transformations over centuries. In 80 BC, it was restructured by Sulla and moved by Caesar to its current location. After a fire in 283 AC, the Curia was rebuilt by Diocletian. Well, you read this and you know about the history of the Colosseum. The Basilica Aemilia X was built by Emilio Lepidus and Fulvius Nobilius in 179 BC, and subsequently rebuilt and restored many times under the care of the and irreparable damage. It was one of the greatest buildings the building in the Forum, used as many others of its kind to the administration and course of the city. The Palatine Hill faced the Forum, preserving unforgettable memories, and its luxuriant vegetation remained of the first nuclears of the city of Rome, dating back to the Iron Age. Emperor, he make his imperial Septimius Severus built places here. The Palatine was the cradle of Rome. According to legend, it was on Palatine that Romulus would trace the square outline of city, and from then on served as seat of the Roman king. Accordingly, the Palatine was the chosen residence of emperors from Caesar to Septimius Severus. The only exception being Nero, and though he built his great Domus Domus Aurea Golden House, elsewhere he never inhabited. The various residents were also connected to each other by underground passage, often richly decorated. One of the best preserved examples of these is the Renorian Cryptopoticus. These words are long words, very hard to read. To present of the imperial palace on the hill. Let them to be identified with the palace, so much so in modern language, the toponym Palatine has become synonymous with a residential building. The Clivus Palatinus leads up to the Palatine, and the stairs up the right to splendid Villa Faunus with its 16th century casina and Farney's Garden 20, supported by the powerful acre of the Domus Tiperiana. From the terrace of the left, the step leads down to the Palatine area, where, among other vulnerable memory, there are ruins of temple of Magna Mater with the statue of the Sibylle, found in the 3rd century BC and completely rebuilt after the Great Fire destroyed it in 111 BC. On the eastern boundary of the area are ruins of the wall of Roma Quadrata, some blocks of Tufa, though to have belonged to the hut of Romulus and trace of the Scalia Sassi, an early access to the Palatine, an early 6th century BC, is located on the square. The nearby house of Livia is a typical example of a patrician house of the late Republican period, which together with the house of Augustus and the temple of Apollo formed the Augustine complex, the first imperial complex on the Palatine. The mural in the Pompeian style are interesting despite their poor condition. To the right is the Domus Flavia, number 26, designed by Rabius for the emperor. Mentioned under the pavement, there are traces and pre-existing structure attached to the palace. What the Domus Angustana, the stadium of the Palatine, 160 meters times 48 meters, is surrounded and fragments of porticoi status fountain on one side, the large niche of the Imperial Loggia nearby are the ruins of the palace and the massive bath of Septimius Severinus, at the foot of which rose the Septizonium, an imposing building. Those remains were demolished by Pope Sixtus V from atop the Palatine. The view is unparalleled. No, is view unparalleled for its complex of ruin and the wise adapted ornamentation, and for the truly stupendous panorama. Anyway, these are the information in the map and the history that I read for all of you get to hear, and I will show you some of the picture in the book, which I show from the beginning. So from the beginning, it's just great. I show it so you got to see much more. Okay. Okay, I will flip each page so you have to see, okay? So, this is the third page. I took the time and read about the history about Rome and Colosseum. So, and I showed the book that I bought last year to all of you, so you get to see some of them. And I will take the time and read it, each page. So anyway, thank you so much for your attention of, we'll pay about the history of Colosseum, about Rome. So anyway, I wish everybody having a great afternoon on Tuesday with great health, happiness, wisdom, love, balance, positive, financial, joy in life. Goodbye. Take care. See ya.